there. Oh, how's it going, kids? Mr. Goodrow here, and today we're going to talk about Horticulture 101. It's my first screencast, so you have to forgive me if I mess up. So, yeah, here we go. So, horticulture is basically the culture, the cultivating of any particular plants of your choosing, whether it be vegetables, whether it be flowers, whether it be herbs, anything like that. So, this is some basics that I'm going to go through with you regarding use of the plants that we grow here at the greenhouse. So, believe it or not, people have been gardening and farming in the valley, so to speak, for more than 1,000 years. You can grow plants anything you want in 4 square feet, 40 square feet, or 40 acres. You can harvest fresh vegetables every month of the year here in environmental and biotechnology. So there's basically 6 steps. No matter where you are, there's always only 6 steps. You will select the site, decide how big to make the garden, you prepare the site, select, plant, and sow your crops, maintain that garden, and then, lo and behold, you'll get your harvest. So you decide where you put your vegetables. They all need approximately 6 to 8 hours of sun each day, depending on the plant. Now, overall, this is just some guidelines. If you want more specifics on the plant that or vegetable or flower that you're working with specifically, it's going to have its own particular requirements, and it's your job to follow those requirements. But overall, in the ballpark, most plants need 6 to 8 hours of sun each day. A reliable source of irrigation, whether that be under the misters, if they're seedlings, drip irrigation, watering cans, hose, anything like that. Vegetables need their soil tilled about 18 inches deep. That's over a foot. Gardening should be easy and inviting to get to, and allow space for plants between planting areas. That also includes your seed trays. And you want to plan to reach the beds from both sides. So how big should it be? It should fit basically where conditions are best. You shouldn't want it to be so big that you get discouraged, and you can always add on more later. So you should always allow yourself to grow what you want to grow and use. So outside, just outside our greenhouse, we have our raised beds that can be built to meet the challenges of gardeners or challenge sites. Remember, you should be able to reach the middle from both sides. You want to make sure you use materials that fit your landscaping and your budget. There are plenty of organic ways that do not cost a lot of money to get you to grow the garden vegetables that you want. Or you can do container gardens. You've probably noticed in the greenhouse we do have both. So preparing the soil. You want to lay out your planting beds. You want to till and rake your soil. You want to remove rocks and junk and things like that. You obviously don't want your plants to have to deal with that. You want to add a balanced fertilizer according to the directions. Always want to make sure you add to the directions. And you want to till the bed again and make it level. So, and again, installing irrigation. Now, that's not a must. It's always easier if you are on an automated system. Like right now, our hanging tomatoes are on an automated drip irrigation system. It's just nice. It makes our lives a little bit easier so we can concentrate on other things going on within the shop. So selecting your crops. Excuse me. You want to grow crops that should grow for each of our seasons. We have 3 outside, and we have 4 including the greenhouse, because we can run the greenhouse however we want to. So you want to fit the crops to the garden. If you have a small garden, you probably don't want to plant something tall like corn or tomatoes, things like that. You probably want to grow some herbs and spices and some small things. And plant things, obviously, that you like to eat. I know that sounds crazy, but if you don't like carrots, don't grow carrots. If you like potatoes, grow potatoes. I love potatoes. I grow potatoes all the time. And you want to make sure that you always rotate your crops. So sources of seed and plants, there's local independent nurseries. I can't emphasize those enough. Seed catalogs and internet sites, and as well as friends. Oftentimes, like I have friends that are growing certain things that I'm not, or they'll go to flower they'll go to flower, or they'll go to seed, and I'll just ask them, like, hey, can I take a couple of branches of whatever, and I'll bring it back to my house, and we'll use it for my own garden. You can also find plenty of stuff online for plant sales, garden clubs, and of course big box retailers. Of course, those are usually my last resort because I don't know where these seeds are coming from. Even though they might say organic, I might not necessarily trust it. So, should I buy transplants or start seeds on my own? Transplants, basically there's no get work. You get a jump start in your garden. Gives you a head start on plants that require longer seasons that we have to produce. But you're limited on what you can find. If there's something specific that you really like and they're hard to find, then chances are you're probably going to have to buy the seeds yourself. Not all things should be transplanted, so you may do both. So plant these vegetables directly into your garden. These are plants that grow from tubers, crowns, or cloves. I believe I should have given you a worksheet right now on plant anatomy, so you should understand what tubers, crowns, and cloves are. But examples of that would be your potatoes, your asparagus, and your garlic. Plants that grow from big seeds like peas, beans, corn, squash, melons, cucumbers, and pumpkins. They all have very, very big seeds. And you also have root crops such as beets, carrots, parsnips, radishes, and turnips. Some vegetables need a head start. You can buy transplants or start your own 8 weeks ahead of planting time. By now, you should have seen our schedules for our planting schedules for the outside gardens as well as the 3 sister beds. Plants spring planted, long season crops such as peppers, eggplant, tomatoes, and sweet potatoes. There's fall planting seasons such as Brussels sprouts and artichokes. So starting seeds in the garden, you want to work the soil, make it friable, meaning you want it to make it pliable, soft. You don't want it like hard, like concrete. The seeds won't work. The soil should feel moist and wrung out, kind of like a wrung out sponge. It should have that texture. Use a string and sticks to lay out straight rows of your seeds. You want to make sure you label each row. I cannot stress that enough. That also includes in the greenhouse. Whenever you plant something, you need a label for that seed tray that you're able to distinguish what's what. Because we have a lot of hands and we have a lot of other eyes and a lot of other people that may not necessarily be working with you at that time to know what it is that you're seeded and you've planted. So, hold on a second. Fitz, you take it easy. Sorry. So again, planting seeds according to directions. Plant according to directions, please. And do not plant deeper than suggested, and always follow plant spacing instructions. Firm soil, gently over seeds, ensure good seed soil contact. When all rows are planted, water carefully with soft pressure to ensure enough moisture to initiate growth. Check daily and irrigate as necessary to keep soil moist. A dry seed is a dead seed. That's one of my favorite phrases. A dry seed is a dead seed. If it's dry, it's dead. Not going to happen. So planting transplants. Again, prepare the soil. It should be moist, friable. Remove the transplant directly from the container, handling from the crown or the roots. Do not damage the stem. The stem. This is how the plant transports the energy from photosynthesis to the roots for storage and growth. Set the plant into the soil so the transplant is the same depth from the garden soil. Do not sink it into a well. In other words, do not plant it so deep that it's going to create a well. And when that happens, is that when you water it, it creates like a pool, and that can sometimes overwhelm the plant and drown the plant. Firm soil gently around the plant and then the water. So maintain your garden that regards irrigation, fertilizing, mulching, weeding, pest control, and weather protections. So irrigating your garden, as you can see here on the right-hand side, you can see the, let me see if we can point to it right. No, there we go. Okay, almost. There we go. Okay, so you can see in this picture right here, you can see those black tubes. Those are drip irrigation systems. They're not ours, but that it is, we do have a similar system for our hanging tomatoes. It adjusts as the season changes, and you can use ground level systems to reduce evaporation. So use temporary sprinklers to irrigate newly seeded areas. In the greenhouse, we use the misters. Hand water newly seeded areas and transplants. Keep a watering hand handy for spot watering. That is a constant reminder, a constant thing that we have to deal with in the greenhouse. So, okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about some very keen elements that keep a plant healthy. One of which is nitrogen. Vegetables need only a little nitrogen to grow and produce. Too much produces lush, too healthy, non-productive plants. I know it sounds very counterproductive. Well, Mr. G, if they're very lush and very green, doesn't that mean that they're very healthy and they're going to give us lots of fruit and lots of vegetables? Sometimes, but not all the time. This is one of those times. Nitrogen is very volatile. It's in the air, adds to rain, and water dissolves in solid form. It can leach away, and left in open bags or exposed on the soil, it can evaporate. That's why we always want to make sure we bury our fertilizer and don't just leave it on the top, because the nitrogen just leaves and it doesn't stick around for the plant. More garden maintenance, keep paths mulched and reduce weeds. Let's see, pull weeds while small before they flower and seed, add to a compost pile. Weeds are host for many unwelcome pests, compete for water and nutrients. In other words, we don't want them there. Use mulch to reduce evaporation, especially in our outdoor gardens. Maintain even soil temperatures, reduce weeds, and protect crops from insects and garden beds, especially in the summer. Aim for at least 6 inches of mulch in the summer, especially outside of the greenhouse where it can get very, very hot. So pest control. Know your enemy. Not all insects are bad. Use the least toxic control methods first. First is cultural and mechanical before resorting to any sort of toxic product. Here we only use organic products. We do not use any toxic products. Killing the bad guys also kills the good guys. When you spray any particular toxin, it kills every bug. It does not matter what it is. So because of that, that can cause a very large problem with pest control after the fact. Most plants can sustain some damage and still produce a great crop. It's true. So learn to recognize different pest damages and disease, which is known as biotic. It's living. Also, abiotic problems, such as salt, windburn, and sun scald. These are non-living problems. Frost damage, over and under watering, as well as nutritional deficiencies. So we've made a compost pile. We irrigate it. We plant flowers and invite pollinators to visit. We visit the gardens frequently, build fences or cages to keep rodents out, and we use hardware cloth to line raised beds and deter gophers or any particular burrowing animals. So season extenders, we used frost cloths. How am I doing on time? Let's see, 12 minutes, 50 seconds. Good. We used frost cloths to remake old sheets and light blankets to protect plants. We never use sheet plastic. It doesn't work. We use shade cloth to protect tomatoes from bugs and keep fruit from sunburning. We use row covers to keep caterpillars and other insects off the crops. So harvesting the crops, the big moment. You want to pick produce young and often to keep new ones growing. You use the information on the seed packet, again, back to the seed packets, to project about when to expect to harvest. We experiment with new crops to use successful harvests in new ways. Thin and eating row crops like lettuce and other greens, radishes, mustards, and carrots, and we use succession planting to extend our harvest. And that is pretty much it just for the basics. Later on, coming up soon, I'll probably talk to you about more on nitrogen as well as phosphorus and potassium. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. I'll catch you later. Bye.